Good afternoon. My name is Sierra Leek. I'm currently a legal student at Bryan and Stratton College, and this is my credit profile, my e-portfolio. For my bio, it of course has my name, it has my age. I'm currently pursuing a degree in paralegal studies, and my goal is to one day become an attorney in the future. However, a short-term goal of mine is to become a paralegal. I am hardworking and a team player. Jumping straight here into my projects, I wanted to start with the CAPS 265 multicultural essay. That was one of the things that I had to turn in. I met this outcome by transferring knowledge, skills, and behaviors acquired through formal and informal learning and life experiences to new situations. I had to learn during this particular project here, I had to learn about diversity and multicultures in the workplace. By doing that, I was able to apply what I've learned to my job now as a legal assistant. And through this project, I was able to learn important skills such as open mindedness. And I also learned how to communicate with other cultures that were not my own. For my second project, we have here Social 115. This particular portfolio project, I met this outcome by participating in social, academic, and professional communities for individual growth and to function as a citizen of the multicultural world. So much like the CAPS 265, which actually could apply to this particular portfolio project as well. The reason I was actually able to meet this goal is not really even linked to the project itself, but what we had to do in class. I was able to take several work keys tests that allowed me to participate in academic and social growth for myself as an individual. This class, along with the project that we ended up doing towards the end, actually helped me to increase in skills such as critical thinking. Next, we have the Math 201 portfolio project. This course outcome I met by following established methods of inquiry and mathematical reasoning to form conclusions and make decisions. This was actually met a number of ways. Not only was it met through the portfolio project that we ended up having to turn in, but it was also met by doing the side activities such as Alex. It was also met through the multiple quizzes that we took, as well as just the lesson itself. And I myself, I'm not very good at math. However, because of this class, I was able to gain the confidence to do math problems, not only to do them, but to become better at them and actually apply it to my everyday life and job that I actually do now. I would say a skill that I learned through this, um, it would be critical thinking again, and just mathematical skills really. That's what I learned from that project. My next outcome or project was to meet this outcome by employing strategies for reflection on learning and practice in order to adjust learning processes for continual improvement. I actually met this through my Psych 101 class. This particular project, we had to create a PowerPoint which expounded on things like addiction or things like, how would you say? It was like things that people really couldn't help, and we had to try to figure out how or why things like that occurred. Through doing that, I was able to meet this because by learning what someone else does or why they do it, you're able to create an improvement for the future, and you're able to either build on what was originally taught or you're able to change it so that way, you no longer yield those same results anymore. Um, through that particular class, I was able to learn, I would say a skill that I learned from that class would be understanding. I was able to have understanding and empathy, even for people who were not like me, much like this CAPS 265 class. I would also apply that here as well. My next outcome or goal would be to meet this outcome by utilizing appropriate current technology and resources to locate and evaluate information needed to accomplish a goal. During this social 225 portfolio presentation, I was actually able to utilize and meet this goal because in this particular class, I call it my technology class. I had to do a presentation that required me to talk about how technology and moving forward in the workplace. So, doing that, I was able to not only just learn about technology, but then also learn how it can affect me in the future and how to apply it in the future. For this particular class, I would say that I learned technical skills, and that's that. The next outcome and project on my list is the Plague 255 portfolio project. I met this course outcome by utilizing resources to locate primary and secondary law related legal documents to research, summarize, and evaluate legal issues. I met this particular outcome and project because of the final presentation and the final portfolio project that I had to do for this particular course. I had to take state laws that apply particularly to my state and apply them to the legal scenario that we were given in that in that project. Doing that, I was able to locate and see what some of the primary and secondary sources were. I was able to learn that not just for that particular case, but just in general. And I was able to apply that to the work that I do now. The skills that I learned, I would say legal research skills and investigative skills, and also just knowledge of the law. I was able to have that as well. My next project or correspondence would be my Plague 220 class. I met this course outcome by drafting legal documents. This included correspondence, pleadings, and briefs. In particularly, especially for the portfolio project that I had to turn in, I had to submit memorandums. I had to draft these legal documents and create them on my own in this particular course. Um, it was not easy, but I was able to not only learn how to do it for this class, but every other legal class that I had. And then I was actually able to take this very skill and do it at my job. And I'm actually able to now do that with the attorneys that I work with. So I would say that a skill that I learned in this particular course or class, due to this project, would be drafting skills, legal and drafting skills. The next course that I'll be discussing is my Plague 110 class. For this particular portfolio project, as well as the outcome, I met this course outcome by utilizing appropriate legal terminology and terms correctly in the legal documents. The way I was able to do this, the way I was able to do this is because I was able to The way I was able to do this is because I had to ensure that the contracts and the documents that we were writing had the correct legal terminology on it. Uh, if it didn't, then of course that would be an issue. It would be like a breach of contract. At least that's what we learned in class. Doing that taught me skills like being careful. It taught me to pay attention to detail, and it also taught me to just be cautious and to be aware when working in this field and doing items like that. So next we have the Plague 120 portfolio project. At this outcome of describing and discussing the basic responsibilities and professional standards of a paralegal. I actually met this outcome multiple ways when it came to this class. I not only met it through the portfolio project that we had to do, but I even met it when it came to like the discussion boards. The reason being is because there were a lot of times during this particular class we had to outline and talk about what was okay for a paralegal to do and what wasn't okay for a paralegal to do. We had to study the ethical guidelines and things that could happen to cause us to cross it, whether it be intentionally or unintentionally. Those are all important things to ensure that a paralegal can understand the responsibility and professional standards. I would say that my skill that I learned from that class would be professionalism and learning how to abide by the rules. Lastly, we have the Plague 155 project portfolio. In this particular project portfolio, I met the course outcome of defending legal ethics in a variety of settings. Much like the Plague 120 class, same thing. We talked about legal ethics, what was right, what wasn't right, the portfolio project that we had to do, it also allowed me to expound on that a little bit more by allowing me to have a case where it was like a little contradicting because if I'm not mistaken, the attorney knew both sides of the party. And so it was just a ethical situation like that, and what would you do, and how do you handle it, and things of that nature. Once again, that particular class taught me critical thinking. It taught me how to be professional, and it taught me what to do and what not to do.